Hey everybody, welcome back to DeBord Room. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. Facebook did not want to let us go live. Anyway, joined by my co-hosts for the next, when's football start back? 6 months or so. Alex Krogan will be joining me every week up until next football season. How you doing, Alex?
Good, man. How you been?
Can't complain. It's cold. I hate winter. Other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, we got some snow last night down here. It actually stuck to the ground. We got about quarter of an inch, half an inch, whatever. Nothing big, but
we're alternating between snow and freezing rain. One night freezing rain, one night snow. One night freezing rain, then you throw in a 55-degree day in between that, and that's about how Ohio always is. But yeah, busy week. Ended up being a very good end of last week for us as Cavs fans. And then I got cocky and scheduled this episode on Saturday before we got annihilated by the Celtics. And we didn't beat the Lakers. So let's go back to the good times real quick. We beat Brooklyn twice, once with their new big three, which we both know they're not fully – the chemistry's not down yet. But we did beat them twice. We got destroyed by Boston, who's playing at another level right now, which we'll get into them later. And we had a very competitive game against the Lakers last night. So piggybacking on what we talked about last week, I'm a lot more confident that we're a playoff contender in the East now. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, I think we're probably the 8th seed. I don't know. I know you think much loftier goals than the 6th seed, but listen, I think we make the 8th seed. And listen, if Brooklyn somehow wins the number 1 seed, this is going to, it's going to be in the back of their heads that whole series. We could take out the number 1 seed because they don't match up well against us the way we're constituted right now. They don't have a lot of interior rebounding. They don't have a lot of defense. And those play into our strong suits. We got, 3 7-footers on our roster that get significant playing time. So, I mean, they know one specifically because he just came from there, right? And Allen. So, yeah, I think, listen, I like the way we're constituted now. I like the team. I think we have a good chance to make the playoffs. I don't see us being higher than the 8th seed, but they could surprise us. I mean, they're not done either because Kevin Love's on his way out for sure.
And so is Drummond, apparently.
Right. Yeah, Drummond, they're not happy with, which is shocking to me because the guy's leading the league in double-doubles. I mean, he's a walking double-double. So I just don't know what more you would want from your big man in the middle, unless you want to stretch 5. But I just don't think this team is set up to be, Warriors East Coast. We need the interior rebounding and the interior defense like we have currently with the 3 7-footers. So, listen, they're going to do what they're going to do. Obviously, they know more. They're getting paid big bucks to do this, so hopefully they know more, right?
I'm hoping. No, we can't score. That's our problem. Our problem is we can't score.
Unless it's against the Nets.
Which you're going to see going forward. Nobody's having a problem, is going to have an issue scoring against the Nets. But Drummond's going to go. Reports today, I'm reading it right now. That's what I've been. Cavs willing to trade Andre Drummond for draft capital and assets. So they're just trying to dump it. $28.5 million contract. He has not really shown any interest in re-signing. And I don't blame Cleveland for not wanting to pay a 7-foot guy that can't stretch the floor $40 million, which he's probably going to want a max, right? Especially when you got him for Brandon Knight and John Henson, who are both unsigned free agents right now. So they could literally have both of them back if they felt like it. Like you said, I have loftier goals. I think if they can add another scorer or keep Kevin Love and he actually plays, they're missing that 25 points coming from the 4 spot. Larry Nance ain't going to bring it to you. JaVale McGee's not going to bring it to you. Allen's more of a defensive guy, even though he's played really well so far. They need another scorer, which Love is that guy. But we talked before we came on. I'm ready for Love to go. That contract just has to – it's a terrible contract. 3 years, $90.5 million left. They just need to send somebody with him, get rid of it, throw a first-round pick and a 2025 with it if you have to. Just get rid of him. Go into next offseason. Maybe with that roster, they could attract some free agents. Maybe not a LeBron James type of free agent, but they could attract some mid-tier kind of guys to come in. I feel like they're one more 20-point-a-game scorer away I mean, they're third in the NBA in defense, even after giving up 141 to Boston Sunday night.
Yep.
So they play defense. Bickerstaff has them playing well. And I'll answer this question right now. Colin Sexton is on his way to becoming a superstar. He followed up his 42-point game with a 25. He's actually defending, and they're calling it Sexland in the backcourt now. Him and Garland are playing well together, which most people coming out of that draft wondered why Cleveland reached for Garland, because Sexton was running the point most of the time before Garland got there. So are you with me? I think Sexton, I mean, he's not going to be top 5 or anything nuts, but this guy's going to be he's averaging 27.5 points a game now. If I can get a guy that's going to average me 27 points a game for the next 10 years, I'm taking it, especially in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, listen, he's got a chance to be top 10. I mean, I think that's his ceiling, but he could be top 10. 2 years from now, he could be considered, one of the top 5 point guards in the league. And I really, really like him. I loved him when they picked him. I was excited. I think he was super excited, hoping that LeBron was going to stay, and then he didn't. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's got potential. I mean, that backcourt has a lot of potential. I really like it. I think that moving forward, he will be a superstar. If he doesn't break out this year and be considered a full-fledged superstar, it'll be next year for sure. He's right there. He's on the cusp, and I like everything I've seen about him. I like his humbleness. I like the hard work ethic, and I like that he plays defense, which a lot of guards don't.
Nope. All right, so we're on the same page as Cleveland. Hey, fans, next week, I promise you we won't talk about this again. Well, we might. But let's talk about something that caught me off guard. So I can't lie, with football still going on and all these quarterbacks, which we'll get to here shortly, I haven't paid a ton of attention to everything in the NBA outside of Cleveland right now. And I noticed that the number 1 seed in the West is the Clippers. And in our NBA show this year, before the season started, I had the Clippers as the 8th seed. Now, I don't know if LA beating Cleveland last night changed that, but I know the Clippers are either.
Yeah, Lakers are the number 1 seed.
By how much? Like a half game?
Yeah, it's a half game. I mean,
so when I was putting this together, I was like, damn, the Clippers are up there. Are they a bigger threat this year than last year?
No, man. The Lakers team is deeper, is better at every position besides LeBron and AD, right? I mean, there's no more J.R. Smith there. I mean, listen, I think that I'm blanking now.
Look, injury or what? One guard gets hurt, they're going to call JR up.
I think Schroeder was a huge pickup, and I think Harrell was absolutely addition and subtraction from the Clippers. I think with him on the Clippers, without him on the Clippers, now you've seen that their bench hasn't been what it was last year. I think that the Lakers are set to repeat, and I really don't see a team that's going to challenge them in the East or the West.
I'll tell you, a team to watch that's always a matchup nightmare. What's up, Joe? The Jazz. Right there is the 3 seed. They're 1 game out, and they're playing really well. But to your point about the bench, Lou Williams averaging 8. That's way below what he's normally averaging. Luke Kennard, he's a local kid. He's from Franklin High School, about 10 minutes away from where I live. Can't stand him. But he got $16 million a year for 4 years. 8.5 points a game. Beverly, 8. Zubac, 7. I guess their best bench guy is Morris, who averages 11. Batum's played really well. He was a very good minimum signing, too, because he just got bought out and went there. I think the Jazz are the biggest threat to the Lakers in the West, if I'm being honest with you. They play defense. They have size. Gobert is at least big enough to combat AD a little bit. Gobert's a very good defender. He's to me, he's the best defensive big in the NBA. And it's him
biggest, or AD. Go ahead, sorry.
It's him or AD, right? Those are the 2 best defensive bigs we probably have in the NBA at this point.
Yeah, and let's be honest, throughout LeBron's career, he has shied away from big men in the middle. He doesn't drive as much. He still gets his points once the big man is drawn away, and he's got the luxury of having AD who demands a lot of attention. So AD will take the man, Gobert outside the arc most of the time, right? So he's going to have that advantage, but
dude, this team's stat. Hold on, I got to get to John's comment. Schroeder's hair is the greatest comeback of all time. That's John from the Frozen Rope podcast on Thursdays at 8:00 after RSH, talking everything baseball. That's hilarious. He's also a Red Sox fan, Alex, so he has good taste. So
oh man, geez.
We're going to keep him around.
I wonder what he thought about that Lindor trade. I mean, I know the Indians had to do it, but it was terrible as an Indians fan.
It was terrible as a Red Sox fan also, but at least it went to the other New York because I would have lost my shit. It went to the Yankees. But look at Utah. Donovan Mitchell, 24 a game. Jordan Clarkson, 6-man, 18 a game. Conley, 17 a game. Bogdanovich, 14 a game. Gobert, 12 and 11. Joe Ingles, 10 and 7. Derek Favors came back there. I mean, they go 9 or 10 deep. They're third in the NBA in defense and second in offense. You don't get much more balance than Utah. I'd love to see them. Granted, I think the Lakers would win in 6 or 7, but if there's one team in the West, assuming they're healthy, that can take the Lakers to the limit, I think it's the Jazz and not the Clippers. I think the Jazz are the biggest threat. I originally thought it'd be the damn Trailblazers, but they haven't been that good this year. I don't know what's going on. Because Lillard was my pick for MVP this year. Hunter says, me and Dave Prince will discuss that Lindor deal on Thursday.
I'll tune in then, Hunter.
That was a big move. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Clippers. I mean, Portland's 9 and 7. You know what's funny? I'd love the Lakers to play Golden State in the first round, like it's slated right now. How exciting of a 1 versus 8 would that be? Even though I think the Lakers will win in 5 or 6, but still the star power: Steph, LeBron, Andrew Wiggins, if he even counts. Whatever.
Yeah. You had to turn your nose up at that Andrew Wiggins thing.
Sort of counts. All right, so who do you think the biggest threat is if it's not the Clippers? I know you said nobody, but if there's one team in the West that they can play, and you're like, shit, they could actually take them to the limit.
The team that I thought was going to be the biggest threat and the team that I thought was going to take the biggest leap this year was Dallas. I mean, Luka.
Dude, they fell up. They're 8 and 9, 6 games out.
If we're honest, man, Luka right now, I mean, Kevin Durant's back. So, okay, he's number 2. We'll say that, right? Kyrie's probably 3, right? If we're being honest, right? To me, I don't know if Luka's not the 4th best player in the NBA right now.
He's top 5. He's easily
right.
top 5.
So he's top 5, but I mean, I find it hard to bring a compare. I mean, maybe Steph, because Steph is turning it back around.
These stats: right? 27, 9.9, and 9.9. I mean, right. What the fuck? Like,
he's averaging a triple-double, essentially. He's basically pulling a Russell Westbrook without trying to, right?
Well, they're trying to pull off a move right now. It's reported that they're trying to get a guy with an expiring contract that can help them this year and also free up some money to spend next offseason, because they're going to have some money with Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract and Josh Richardson's contract coming off the books this offseason, so they can get that other third star with Porzingis and Luka. So they're looking at Aldridge, Otto Porter Jr., which I wouldn't consider him a star, but he would be an upgrade over probably Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway, though, 18 and 5 ain't.
And he's averaging almost 40% from 3. I mean,
yeah.
If you look at that, their top 3, I mean, really their top 5, I mean, they got 6 guys averaging double digits. I mean, that's impressive. I don't know. I mean,
they're 11 deep.
Yeah.
Because I know Powell plays. Powell's like their biggest trade chip, because they're talking about possibly Cleveland trading Kevin Love to the Mavericks, and Dwight Powell would be like the centerpiece of that deal.
But I mean, the Maverick, to me, Kevin Love ruins the symmetry of that team. Yeah, where's he go? Because Porzingis is probably your center, right?
Well, they have him listed as
your 3, I guess.
Well, if you put Porzingis at the 5, he could play power forward, because they have Porzingis starting at the power forward right now.
Right. So I mean, yeah, I would have thought if we were going before the season, I would have told you Dallas. I feel like is going to take a big leap this year, and they're really going to. And listen, when you look at the numbers, it's crazy to me that they're 8-9.
Benison from Stand Your Ground, Golden State or Denver. Denver's been.
Golden State's not a threat. Golden State is not a threat.
Benison
In a
being hurt, that
really 7-game series, Golden State cannot outscore LA 4 out of those 3 games. With just Steph, it's just not happening. Wiggins is a second, third tier guy. He's not really a superstar. Who else are you guarding? If I'm LA, I put 3 guys on
Wiseman.
Steph.
I really do. I think next year when they get Clay back and they can take Wiggins and Oubre
But what is Clay? I mean, he's been hurt 2 years in a row with significant injuries. Is he the same guy that he has been?
Probably not.
I mean, Achilles is huge.
Twice.
Right. I hope and pray that he comes back because
I do too.
I never really was a Steph fan, right? I appreciate what Steph does.
Don't
get me wrong. But I like Clay way more out of the 2 Splash Brothers. I'm a bigger Clay fan because Clay, when he's healthy, is a top 2 defender. If you want to give Kawhi the nod, that's fine. But Clay is right there behind him as a defender. So I like a guy that plays both ways. You know what I mean? And people kill LeBron, but LeBron is what he is, and he does play defense. And people don't like it, but he does, right? So I'm a 2-way guy. I'm not really just an offense guy. That's why I can't stand Harden. I think he's an absolute atrocious player.
He is.
He's funky. He's ugly. He's not good for the game of basketball. Now, you're seeing the influence he's having on college basketball and players now. They're trying to draw cheap fouls.
Dribble.
That herky-jerky, slow down, jump into you. I just don't like it.
Look at Benison. Benison actually knows shit about basketball. I did not know that.
I like Kelly Oubre.
They're trying to trade him. I got an alert today that they're trying to trade him to possibly New Orleans because New Orleans is shopping Lonzo and J.J. Redick. Because Lonzo's had the worst year of his tenure there after he turned down a 5-year, $80 million contract. Everybody's like, you should have took that deal, bro. Like, why did you turn it down?
They got lucky.
New Orleans? Absolutely.
They dodged a bullet there.
Big. Speaking of dodging bullets, so me and Alex for the first time after this are going to play the NFL quarterback match game. So I'm all about creating these stupid little games to kind of make this funner. But before we get into that, let's talk about manscaped.com. Still got the promo code DB2020. I trimmed my beard the other day, and my mom was like, "Oh, you don't look like garbage." So that's good. That's all because of Manscaped. It's not just a cheap plug. She talks a lot of shit about how I shave my face. 20% off. Bring sexy back in 2021. I'm not personally doing it, but you could. Alex is trying not to laugh, which is fine. I appreciate that. But check out this promo from our buddies over at Manscaped. We'll be back for the quarterback match game. Sir, manscaped.com. Cool shirts, underwear, comfortable, great products. Check them out. As usual, the bottom ticker will have the promo code throughout the rest of this show. Make sure to check them out. All right, Alex. I'm making stupid games. I got one this week and I got one next week. This one should be kind of fun, though. So,
listen, you know what they say: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So remember that.
A couple of these. So a few of these to me would be stupid prizes for the teams that get them, but we'll see.
Sure.
So this, to me, is probably the most chaotic NFL offseason that I expect in the last 10 years. ESPN put up a thing yesterday. 19 quarterbacks are going to be on the market. That's not counting Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance and Kyle Trask and everybody else in the NFL draft. So there's going to be 30, 35 quarterbacks that get signed, traded, or drafted this year. Pat McAfee actually broke this down in his show earlier. There could be 18 teams with a new starting quarterback next year.
Which would be absolutely bananas.
18. And I'm not on this list. No Fitzpatrick, who could start for somebody probably. No Andy Dalton. He probably can't, but he's a very good backup right now, or a bridge quarterback. But there's a lot of big names. Matthew Stafford, who we're going to start with. So news came out over the weekend. He asked Detroit for a trade. Reports today say he asked for a trade because his offensive coordinator did not get retained. They brought in Anthony Lynn instead, which led to Stafford asking management for a trade. I think we've talked about this before. Stafford's career has pretty much been wasted since it's been there, in my opinion. If he would have landed on any other team, if he would have landed on a New England, on a Green Bay, on, hell, a San Francisco, the dude'd probably be a Super Bowl champion by now. He's that damn good. There's a stat yesterday. There's 2 quarterbacks in the NFL with 150-plus touchdowns and 50 and under 50 picks. They're Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford. That's pretty mind-blowing, considering Matt Stafford. Detroit's not the best ran organization. But let's start with him. The match game. What would be, to you, Matthew Stafford's best match?
Ooh, Indianapolis comes to mind. Right?
That's the favorite, apparently.
That's what all the talking heads really are going after, because he compares to Phillip Rivers in a couple different ways, right? He's the younger version of Phillip Rivers. He's athletic. He's feisty. He's got a live arm. He's definitely more mobile than Phillip was this year. So that helps you.
And
right?
He has a lot more arm strength left.
He has more arm strength. There's a lot of weapons there. That's the best offensive line he would ever have. And so the guy normally annually throws for 5,000 yards. So imagine with that offensive line and those offensive weapons, if they retain T.Y. Hilton, because there's some talk that he's probably not coming back. But if not, they could pick up Kenny Galladay, who's going to be a free agent. And he's already got a connection there. And Kenny Galladay's a younger, better version of
you also got
T.Y.
Marvin
Hilton.
Jones. Marvin Jones.
There's a lot of guys on the market, but I'm just looking from the connection standpoint of he already has a very good
Detroit the last 5 years too. You could bring him in, and if Galladay's a little bit too expensive, Marvin Jones ain't going to command a ton of money.
Well, Indianapolis has got a lot of cap room.
They always do.
they have managed their cap space very well. They have a lot of young guys. They're set up for 4 to 5 year run where they could possibly win 2 rings in that 4 to 5 years, which is hilarious to me that Andrew Luck retired. I mean, imagine
then they get a good O-line.
Imagine what we would be talking about with Andrew Luck. It would probably be Kansas City and Indianapolis for the next 3 or 4 years, competing in the AFC Championship. It really would. They're that good. That defense is good. That offensive line is great, and they have weapons.
I'll tell you this.
I think Stafford makes the most sense in Indianapolis, but I think it's the easy pick. So, because he's plug and play is what they think. That's all they got to do there is with a quarterback.
They got Hines and Taylor. Perfect backfield. Pascal, Michael Pittman Jr., Cox, Doyle, who was catching everything thrown at him in the playoff game this year. I agree with you. I think the Colts are the best fit. As much as I'd love to say New England to me is the second best fit, and I had Denver as third. Or not Denver, but Washington as third. Because I don't think everybody has Denver, but I feel like they're going to try to do right by him and not send him to another shitstorm, even though Denver probably give you the best draft capital. But if the Colts offer you their first-round pick and a player, because they want to pick and a player apparently, New England could offer their 15 and Gilmore. Is that enough? Do they want to take on an aging corner making $18 million next year? I don't know. So I think
even though he's aging, he's still top 3 corner in the NFL.
He could help mentor Okuda out there too, the first-round pick from Ohio State last year, because he had a rough rookie year. He had a lot of injuries though. But New England would be rough because they have a lot of cap room. But is Bill going to go give Galladay 13, 15 a year? Marvin Jones would be realistic because New England typically goes for those guys making mid-tier. Edelman would probably benefit. Jacoby Myers broke out. There's just a lot of more questions with New England. The Colts are ready. The Colts give their first-round pick, get Stafford in. If that happens, I'd have them in Kansas City in my championship game going into next year, no matter what.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Bill act out of character this year. I think he's going to pay some players this year.
So Gilmore,
this is the best thing that could have happened for you right here is Tom being in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bill is probably people talk about Jordan and his competitiveness. From what I've heard, Bill is the ultimate competitor.
Yep.
So this is killing him right now. And I'm telling you right now, he's sending tape to Kansas City to try and dismantle Tom Brady's chance at a 7th ring. I guarantee you, he's that angry about this.
We're going to make that a talking – next week's going to be loaded. I want to make that a talking point because I see that whole situation differently than everybody else apparently. I see all the memes and they're funny and whatever, but I don't feel like Bill's sitting at home like, man, I hope he loses. I just don't think he feels that way. We'll get into that next week.
I brought him out of town twice. He doesn't like him.
Listen, we'll get into that next week.
All right.
Great talking. Dude, that in the Super Bowl, that'll be a great talk. Both great talking points, and they kind of fit. Let's segue into who the guy I think we end up with. And I think it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill loved Jimmy Garoppolo. He fits the system. And I was looking at his stats earlier today. He's 24-9 with a QBR over 70, and his quarterback rating in San Francisco is over 100. So he's not a terrible quarterback by any means. He's injury prone, right? New England does have a very solid – they didn't do much good last year on offense. They have a very good offensive line. Even with Joe Thuney probably leaving, they got that kid from Michigan, 6th-round pick. Man, they struck lightning twice, even though this guy's just a lineman. But he was the highest-graded rookie in the NFL this year. But nobody cares because he plays guard. But still, he can slide in Thuney's spot. We're going to have a good line. You still got Harris and Sonny Michel. You got to add receiving help, which I think they will. I don't think Jimmy G is going to cost them their 15th pick in the draft. Kyle Pitts, maybe Chase, one of these receivers could fall. But like you said, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones. We talked off air. A.J. Green's available. I mean, there's so much receiver talent available. They can go grab a couple guys, throw it in the mix. You still got N'Keal, who I haven't given up on. I'm close, but I haven't. Our 2 rookie tight ends who I think were affected pretty badly because of no training camp last year, and Bill values training camp where he doesn't play guys. But I think Garoppolo's easy. Bill has some kind of fetish with the guy because he tried to trade Brady 4 or 5 years ago and keep him. But I think Jimmy G seamlessly he either goes to New England or he stays in San Francisco.
I mean, listen, I think Jimmy G's the worst quarterback out there that's left, man. I'm not a fan of him. You can tell me the stats and everything, but watching him outside of New England, I have not been impressed by him.
Well, we're going to bring him back.
Listen, I think John Lynch gets something done with Texas and the Texans, and you see Deshaun Watson in a 49er. Now, Jimmy G can still come your way because the Texans need a lot of help. A quarterback's not going to solve everything for them. So they could easily trade you for your 15th round pick, which you guys would probably give up for Jimmy G as much as Bill loves him, right? And then they could make that work. And then you still end up with Jimmy G in the long run. It's just a different route, right? I don't think there's a direct trade between you and San Francisco for him to come back. But I think ultimately we see Deshaun Watson in the 49ers uniform because I think the 49ers will give up 3 first-round picks for him because that team is set, man.
You're reading my mind. That team
is set
Sean's
to win
next.
Now, right? We talk about the Colts. That defense is stupid good. They had backup players almost at every position. They were still a top 5 defense this year. So imagine getting Bosa back and having a full year with Kittle, and you got Deebo Samuels. I mean, there's so much, and that offensive line is still a top 10 offensive line.
They got no wonder they let Emmanuel Sanders go. Everybody gave him shit.
Yeah, everybody's talking crap. Well, how did you let him go? And they didn't need him.
No.
They were winning games with 3rd-string quarterbacks.
So you got San Francisco as the best fit.
for Deshaun. I mean,
Well, the best match.
Listen, the best fit for him, honestly, is Cleveland, but it's not going to happen.
I think the best fit for him.
It has a quarterback need, right? We're talking quarterback needs. Because let's be honest, if you put Deshaun Watson in a Browns uniform and you trade Baker and OBJ, and I don't even care if we give up 2 first-round picks on top of that, we're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. Deshaun is a top 5 to me in the NFL quarterback.
He's top 3 to me. He's top 3. Mm-hmm. Legit. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. To me, he's top 3. There are no more than 2 quarterbacks that I want.
Even higher than my boy Josh Allen?
See, Josh Allen, man, he made huge progress this year. He's top 5 to me.
He's in my top 20.
People are gonna like murder me for that, but Josh Allen's top 5 to me now. 100%. What he did this year, I understand. They had a rough game. They had a rough game against, they had rough playoffs. They barely won 2 games. And then they didn't really show up after that turnover that they got, which they had all the momentum, 9-0. They put one more score on the board. It's a different ball game, I think. Yeah. But they couldn't get it going, right? They didn't have a solid running game. The things that people thought were going to cost them, right? So Josh Allen's top 5 for me now. But I think, if you put Deshaun Watson in a Cleveland uniform, and now, granted, I'm a Cleveland guy, but I see what he has done with nothing this year. He still was a top 5 quarterback with nothing this year in every category. So the guy is just ridiculously talented. He is like Tom Brady. He will change a franchise. Whoever he goes to, if he doesn't stay with the Texans, get ready. If you're a fan base, get ready, because he will change your culture. The guy, from everything everybody says, is the first guy in the building, the last guy out, has a huge work ethic, and he just is humble, right? You don't see that. You don't see him on Twitter, I want to trade. You don't see him out here on Facebook and in the media and taking interviews, but he does want to trade, right?
Work. They said today he's still out in Houston doing charity work today.
He loves Houston, but he understands what we've all known for a couple years. The organization is poorly run. Now, they got a new GM, which I really like, right? Now, he came from New England, so that's a good start, right? You guys, for whatever you guys are, Evil Empire, you guys are run incredibly well. So that's a good start, but I don't know what coach they're going to get, because I wouldn't want to be the head coach there, because you're going to get 2 years and then you're fired.
It's going to be Frazier or
Benny, right? But 2 years, you got to realize, if you take the head coach's job, you're there for 2 years. Because if Deshaun doesn't stay, which I'm positive these reports are not wrong, there's too many high-placed people that are reporting on it, right? There are people that have risked, that have staked their careers on stuff. This guy's gone, right? So
he has all the power.
Without him, unless you make a hell of a deal and you end up with the number 1 or number 2 pick, and you can get Fields or Lawrence, you're set back 5 years.
Well,
right?
that's why I think Miami's the best match, because apparently they're not as sold on Tua as they thought they were, right? Because they kept putting Patrick back in. So if you give Tua, you give Houston their draft picks back. Listen, what's Houston been getting bashed for? I've bashed them all year. They suck, and they're not even going to get. They don't even get the fruits of their labor up for it, because Miami owns all their shit.
Yep.
Hey, Miami, give us fucking Tua. Give us our 3rd pick back. Give us our 2nd round pick back. Give us our other 2nd round pick next year back, and you can have Deshaun Watson, and we'll start over. We'll get our own picks. They have the 3rd pick. If Tua's the guy, cool. If not, Zach Wilson's sitting there, or they could trade that pick to go back, because we know Houston needs a lot of stuff going forward to rebuild. J.J. Watt's going to be on the move. They're going to trade that Merciless, the linebacker. Zach Cunningham, who just got a contract extension, they're already talking about shopping him. Houston's on a full-blown rebuild. And I think
what if Houston trades with Miami and then trades Tua and that 3rd pick to the Jets for the number 2 pick and takes Fields?
See, I don't know if they even have to trade up to 2 to get Fields, because apparently the Jets are fascinated by Smith from Bama, and they say that's the more likely outcome at 2s for the Jets to take him.
You're going to take a wide receiver at number 2?
I think the Jets are in with Sam Darnold. We'll see.
You got guys like Justin Jefferson who were taken
Later.
as late as he was. Listen, Smith, I think is a once in a lifetime wide receiver, probably, right?
He's top 7. I wouldn't take him second.
Well,
I would
right.
never take receiver second unless they're Calvin Johnson.
I'm not taking anybody but a bookend edge rusher, a quarterback, or a left tackle in the top 3. It's the proof is in the pudding. Mm-hmm. Any guy that's been drafted above 3 that doesn't play those positions, has been a bust for the most part, right?
Think about Detroit. Who the hell they picked?
Think about Cleveland when we drafted
Braylon Edwards.
No, the running back from Alabama. I'm blanking now. Yeah, Trent Richardson, number 3. Are you?
But don't forget Braylon Edwards at number 4.
Oh, I know.
Out of Michigan.
Don't get me started. I know. Old regime though. We've been much better at draft picks recently.
You have.
Yeah, listen, I think he ends up in San Francisco. It's just a gut feeling. It could be wrong, right? Maybe San Fran keeps Jimmy G, which I don't see happening, but maybe they do. But I just think that he fits the best in San Francisco.
We got 3 left. Let's quickly do these 3 because these guys really don't warrant much more than a few seconds. Mitchell Trubisky, I think he's an interesting one. Where do you think the best fit for him is?
In unemployment line?
That's rude.
Is that an option?
I think Denver.
I think he ends up back in Chicago.
I think Denver's his best fit. He can battle with Locke.
Okay. Listen, you're fine.
Cam.
Unemployment line.
Washington.
Oh, my God. Please, no. Don't set that franchise back 3 years.
I don't think he's going to start.
Who's going to start?
Alex Smith or Taylor Heineke. I think Cam could be
Alex Smith doesn't retire. I swear to God, somebody needs to get his head checked.
I think Cam can be Taysom Hill Jr. He can run, and that's all he can do. I wouldn't have him out there playing quarterback, but he's familiar with Rivera. It's a seamless fit. Cam's going to be employed.
Make him a tight end.
He had 14 rushing touchdowns this year. He can be used in the Wildcat like Taysom Hill.
Make him a tight end.
Jameis Winston.
He stays in New Orleans. There's no chance that there's no chance that Sean Payton lets him walk out the door.
No.
The guy is immensely talented. Does he make terrible, terrible, terrible mistakes? Yes, that's evident by 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, right? Mm-hmm. But he's talented. We all knew this, and we all joke about him with the crab leg stealing and, the dumb mistakes that he makes and having LASIK surgery and all that. But the guy's immensely talented. There's a reason why he was drafted number 1. He was in a bad regime down in Tampa before this regime took over. I think he's in the right place for him. I think he will be the starter next year. I don't think it'll be a Taysom Hill show because Taysom Hill, I think what Sean Payton was doing, and everybody was dogging on him, but he's like, this is your audition, Taysom. If you don't want us to re-sign Jameis and you want to be the guy next year, prove to me. And he didn't. All he can do is run. He's not a good thrower of the football. Yes, he might have a strong arm, but he doesn't know how to read defenses. He doesn't know how to work through his progressions. He cannons the ball 90% of the time if you look. He doesn't have touch on it. These are all things you can't really teach at this point in his career. 4 years in the NFL, I think. Jameis has these weapons. He just needs to learn patience in the pocket. He needs to learn, some trust in himself to not, make bad mistakes. I think he goes to the Saints or stays with the Saints.
I think he'll stay, and I think he's going to flourish there, honestly, with Sean Payton. It's like the Bridgewater factor.
There's too many weapons there.
The only difference is Breeze didn't retire yet, or they probably would have kept Bridgewater, honestly. They just were keeping that guy because they're smart and they plan for the future and the present.
Well, yeah,
Breeze gets hurt, we have a guy. If he doesn't, we have Drew Brees. Now they have Winston with a year in the system under his belt, the same system, which you had 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years in Tampa, and you have one of the best play callers in the league in Sean Payton. It's a
Bridgewater secretly made the smartest decision in his life to go back up Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And everybody killed him for it. Why are you going to go down there? You don't have a chance to start. You're not going to, whatever. And now look at him. He's flourishing in Carolina. He looks
really
good.
Year.
He's a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. The best thing for him was to get out of Minnesota. 100%.
Benison.
What did he say?
Josh Allen's not your boy. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Don't even want to hear it. All right, so let's segue to the playoffs. We'll end with this. The championship games. Super Bowl is determined. Tampa Bay in the 3:00 game, which I thought should have been the 6:00 game myself, but whatever. They beat Green Bay.
It was a better game overall.
I agree. I thought the Chiefs game was going to be what it was. The Chiefs were nice enough to spot them 9 points, and they still annihilated them, I felt.
I mean, it should have been 10, but, neither here nor there.
Rookie kickers. Tampa wins. Brady looked great the first half. He got a little bit of pressure in the second half, started throwing the ball up, getting in. He trusts his – so there's a difference. Last year with New England, he's throwing the ball out of bounds because he doesn't trust his weapons. This year, he's throwing the ball up in the middle of the field because he does trust all his receivers, which the Godwin catch that Godwin made, a fantastic catch in the middle of the field after dropping an easy one. That shows the kind of faith he has, which is the difference between Tampa and New England this year. So what were your thoughts on this? I thought it was a really good game.
One of those interceptions was Brady's fault. The other two I don't blame him for.
No, it hit Evans.
When the one hit Evans' hands, that's on Evans. You want to be a top 5 wide receiver like you spout off like that you are, catch that ball. Because every other top 5 wide receiver is catching that ball. Yeah. You think DeAndre Hopkins, that ball hits his hands? You think DeAndre Hopkins, that ball hits his hands, he doesn't bring it down? You think OBJ, that ball hits his hands, he doesn't bring it down? I can keep going. Devontae Adams, all those guys, they bring that ball down. This is what I've told people about Mike Evans forever. Everybody bashes me because I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver because his hands are trash. And I'm sorry, man. You can be as physically talented as he is, but you have to catch that ball. And then the other one, oh my God! The running back used to play for the Jaguars. I'm brain farting. This Fournette doesn't pick up a block. He gets a free rusher in his face.
That was bad.
He's throwing off his back foot. So that's on Fournette. How do you duck inside when you know you have the outside block?
He was on the wrong side. I was watching my dad. I was like, why is he not blocking?
Right. So I don't
play in the backfield.
Now Brady still threw the ball. Fournette.
No, the fucking pass rusher, 91. Smith was living back there.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Barrett was living in Rodgers' face. I think Barrett, I feel like Barrett had like 9 sacks. That's how many times I heard his damn name.
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of pressures. It was 3 and 2, I think. Pierre-Paul had 2.
Barrett
had 3.
It's crazy he's still playing at this level.
So the thing is though, like, I get it. His hand is mangled, right? But as a pass rusher, right, besides swim moves and everything else, it probably is not that much of a disadvantage. Now, I still give him credit, right? Because a lot of guys probably would have retired or made excuses or not worked as hard, but the guy's got a custom glove that he uses to still lift. I mean, so he's putting in the extra work. He's putting the money in to be what he was, which was always a premier pass rusher, right? So, and Vita Vea, man, I think he made the biggest impact being back this game. As good as that defense played the game before, it looked that much better, this game against Green Bay. Now, Green Bay had a chance to get back in it because of those 3 interceptions in the second half, but they outlasted them, and LaFleur made terrible calls, and Rodgers didn't pull a Rodgers and run. I thought for sure he's running that in, because if he doesn't get in the touchdown, right? Let's say he doesn't score, but he's on the 1 yard line.
He's close.
So you're going for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. You're not kicking the field goal. But on 4th and 8, it's the analytics are in LaFleur's favor, but I don't care about analytics at that point, right? You need to score that touchdown. You got the reigning MVP, 3-time MVP, another Peyton Manning guy who, wins a lot of MVP awards in the regular season and chokes in the playoffs. But I mean, he had a good game overall. Rodgers did, but to me, not running at that critical point when your legs are a big part of your game, that's a choke move. you don't want to be the reason so you try and throw into double coverage instead of running it in. You were worried you weren't going to make it. Like, go for it. You're that bad man like you claim to be. Be that bad man. So,
Aaron Rodgers came up short again. He's 1-5 in championship games, which is not a good look when you're talking about legacy going forward, about where he ranks top. That's why he's not in my top 10, but that's for a different episode.
He's the GOAT. Listen to all these clowns.
Talented player ever. Yeah, so is every kid that comes out of college. They're all full of potential. Anyway, the other game, Kansas City defeats Buffalo, and I feel like the score isn't as close as the game really was, honestly. I never felt, even when it was 9-0, I was just like, all right. Not the Colts, but the Chiefs are always playing from behind, I feel like. They always are. They start slow, then they pick it up. Mahomes looked great. He's hobbled for sure. He didn't run very much. When he did scramble, you could tell that he was kind of,
Listen, I watched the whole game. He didn't look bothered nearly as much. So having had turf toe before, right? And not granted, I'm nowhere near the athlete that Patrick Mahomes is. Don't think that I'm saying that, right? But I know how bad that hurt. So to me, I think the turf toe is exaggerated, man. There's no way he's moving the way he moves unless he's just doped up like crazy and can't feel nothing in that toe. Because he didn't look bothered to me. I mean, yes, he didn't run as much as he normally does. He wasn't as mobile as he usually is, but he still was making the plays that he needed to make and being the frustrating guy that he is, right? Like, listen, it's like a lot of people are saying, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs are playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers, man. It looks like they're literally toying with people. Oh, don't worry about it. They're laughing on the sidelines. They're down 9-0. It's like Patrick said, hey, watch this. We're about to go score 14 points in a row. And then it's all on from there, and here comes the onslaught, right? And I predicted this game 38-28 for the Bills in the opposite way. So I was close on the score. I just was wrong on the winner. So
wasn't surprised. I actually thought it'd be like 45-17 Kansas City. I was telling everybody, I thought they'd just annihilate them. They played the first time this year, but I was like, well, Buffalo got so much better. But there's just teams, man. Maybe it's been watching New England play for the last 20 years. When it comes to that game, Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He's just ready. Like, he knows when week 6 against Buffalo and in the championship game against Buffalo, he's not the same guy in week 6 as he is in the championship. He has a different demeanor. And in week 6, he kicked Buffalo's ass.
Yeah,
Josh Allen didn't play very well. And Josh Allen did not play well this game.
No.
6 balls that could have been picked.
No, man. Josh Allen looked like the moment was too big for him, which sucks, right? Because he did so much to turn around the naysayers this year in the fact that his deep ball percentage, which I kept telling people they were killing him about, right? But yet he was number 1 this year in deep ball percentage, right? Accuracy. Because guess what? He has a true number 1. It's funny how that works, right? If you don't have talent at that position, you can't really make something out of nothing, right? So, I mean, that's why people kill Tom Brady. He's done. He's washed. Look at what he does with weapons now. They're 1 game away from another Super Bowl, right? He's 1 game away from having 7 Lombardi trophies at 43 years old. We've never seen that's why I said, I put on Facebook, I'm sure you saw it, I don't want to hear Aaron Rodgers in the same conversation of GOAT ever again. Because when you're 1-4 in NFC Championships games and you hosted one against a 43 supposedly washed up quarterback who threw 3 interceptions in the second half, and you still lost on mostly your fault because you didn't run when you knew you had the run available, you're not a GOAT. You're no form of a GOAT. No. I don't want to hear this best thrower of the football I've ever seen. I get tired of listening to these talking heads on TV now. It's just like, listen, I understand he had a good game. Overall, Aaron Rodgers had a good game, right? We're not going to argue that. But he didn't do it in crunch time in the fourth quarter. He was 4 for 12, I think, on passes in the fourth quarter. Like, that's where your legacy is made. right there. And what did Tom Brady do? Made two crucial throws
That
in the
screen
fourth
to
quarter.
Gronk,
Yes,
man. What a play.
two crucial throws in the fourth quarter on the last drive to ensure that Aaron Rodgers never touched the ball again. That's
That
GOAT.
screen to Gronk was beautiful.
But
Gronk's been
that's
blocking. All of a sudden, screen 27 yards game.
that's the GOAT right there. That's GOAT material. That's
And I
what GOAT.
guarantee you, the whole game, he's like, dude, it's coming. Just block. And Gronk's unselfish. Give him all the shit you want. And I'm still kind of pissed at him because he demanded to be traded and came out of fucking retirement out of the blue. Had to, leave the beloved WWE and whatever. But so we'll end with this because he's done. And I'm going to hear his name for the next 6 months. Putting the Bills season in perspective, did my opinion of Josh Allen change? A little bit. Now he's top 10. He was top 20. He's not top 5. He's like 6 or 7.
Give me the better quarterbacks than him, honestly. I mean, now listen, Tom is at a different place. So Tom is not a top 5 quarterback anymore. Okay? Let's be realistic. Okay?
All right.
What Russell Wilson did this season in the first 6 games was top 5. What he did in the rest and in the playoffs is not top 20. So you take Russell. I'm talking about this season, not overall, not what we think.
Overall. I don't base stuff off 1 year. I need to see him do it more than 1 year.
He's improved every year he's been in the NFL.
He was top 20. Now he's top 7. I think that's as harsh as I was on this kid coming into this year. I think that's a great leap for me.
Yeah, but you were overly harsh on him.
No, I'm not. You just saw what he did when the moment gets too big. He normally does that against New England, but New England was shit this year. He lost to Kansas City. Look at his big games this year. He still lost.
But let's stop here. Okay, 3 years in the league. 3 years in the league. He played for an AFC Championship. He led his team 3 years in the league. An organization that was cursed close to what the Browns is to the AFC Championship.
All right, so Mahomes.
Right.
Mahomes, Russell, Rodgers, Watson, and probably Allen at 5.
Okay, so he's top 5. That's all I'm arguing. That's all I'm arguing.
Debatable.
He's top 5.
And the only reason he's 5th is because it's hard. Like, I'd have Lamar. He's top 10, but he can't fucking throw. But I don't blame him because he has they had to sign Dez Bryant.
Lamar
the
is
difference for me is Lamar didn't win. If Lamar beats Josh Allen in that game, Lamar is 5th to me.
Lamar is top 6 or 7 for sure.
He's my 6.
The problem you have with Lamar is
Kyler Murray at 7 and Herbert at 8 already.
Right.
That's how fucking good Herbert is to me.
Right. The problem you have is that with Lamar, and it drives me nuts. I get tired of people bashing on Lamar. The guy's an MVP, the reigning MVP until the next MVP is announced, right? The guy is phenomenal. Now, is he a top 5 quarterback as far as throwing? Absolutely not, right? But once again, give him a weapon like Stephon Diggs, and then you can judge him fairly on whether he's a good thrower of the football. Because when you got guys like Dez Bryant, who was retired for 2 years, sitting on the couch like me and you, playing in a playoff game as a viable wide receiver, and you got another guy, Hollywood Brown, who hits in the hands 5 to 6 times a game and drops it, easy feather-laced passes. If you look, when Lamar throws the ball to Mark Andrews, he throws a bullet. When he throws it to Hollywood Brown, he takes something off of it, because he knows the guy has damn feet for hands, right? I don't care how fast you are. If you can't catch the ball, I don't want you on my team, right? So let's give Lamar. I'm praying. I think it's the only chance the Ravens have to help Lamar. I thought he'd be further along than he is. I thought he would take a big step this year as a passer, but he couldn't. And then once I watched the games, I understood why. When you throw a guy a ball, 12 times a game and he drops 6 of them, I mean, you stop wanting to go to that guy. There's no trust there, right? So
Yeah, I'm looking at his depth chart.
They got to get him a wide receiver.
Terrible.
They got to get him a true number one wide receiver. If I'm the Ravens, I'm going all in on Kenny Galladay. I'm
going Allen Robinson. I think would be perfect.
I'm going all in on Allen Robinson, but you need him a true number one wide receiver.
I'd go Allen Robinson, and I'd probably pick up another guy, secondary guy.
Maybe Marvin Jones, like you were talking about.
Marvin Jones is a good veteran that fit perfect. Then you could put Hollywood in the slot where he's a little fast.
Which I think that's what he is really a slot wide receiver.
He shouldn't be on the outside. And he shouldn't be – if Hollywood Brown's your number one receiver, you're in trouble. Then Snead's your 4. That's pretty solid. Then
you still got Mark Andrews.
Yep.
And you got J.K. Dobbins coming out of the backfield.
And
then
Boyle will be back next year.
Then you have legit weapons, right? You have legit weapons. And then let's look at what Lamar does in the passing game. But until you give him weapons – I don't want to hear these clowns dogging on him about not being a better passer because he doesn't have nobody to throw the ball to. So his first instinct, if Mark is not open, I'm going to run the ball. Plain and simple.
He's one missed tackle away from breaking it every damn time he gets the ball.
He's lightning in a bottle.
He's the only quarterback that I feel that way about, but Kyler's getting there. And Kyler, to me, is a little bit better throwing the ball. But Kyler also has the best receiver in the NFL on his team. So
yeah, listen, when you can throw the ball up into triple coverage and 90% of the time your guy's going to get the ball, that gives you a little bit of an advantage, right? I mean, sure. D-Hop is on another level. He proved it. By leaving Deshaun, everybody was like, oh, he's a product of Deshaun. No, he was doing it before Deshaun with Tom Savage and guys like that.
McCarron, Brian Hoyer.
Guys like that. Then he goes with Kyler, who's still learning the position, even though, he is very good. And he does the same thing. And granted, he's got a number 2 and he's got Larry and there's some other guys there, but you're double and triple covering Hopkins every time, and he still has the seasons that he had. He without a doubt proved he's the number one wide receiver, and I don't want anybody to talk about Devontae Adams.
Dude,
I don't want to hear about that.
He's my number 2.
Yeah, Devontae's number 2, but D-Hop is number 1.
I'm rolling with D-Hop, but Adams showed me something this year, man. They said it Sunday, over the last 16 games, he almost has 2,000 yards receiving, 160 catches or something. The dude's talk about double and triple. I don't think the gap's as big between D-Hop and Adams as it was, because Adams to me was probably 5th.
What you thought, yeah.
He skyrocketed up my top 5 this year.
Yeah, he definitely took a huge step forward.
And
but listen, Thomas is a product of that. I mean, listen, people were talking about Thielen as a top 5 wide receiver, and then you saw Diggs left, and what is he now?
You know what?
He's a shadow of himself.
He's being shopped too. Talk about somebody New England should go grab. Thielen would be seamless fit there.
Right. Yeah. Listen, Michael Thomas, I love him. Obviously, he's a Buckeye, right? But his ceiling is a top 5 wide receiver. That's his ceiling. He doesn't have the speed. His hands are not as good as DeAndre Hopkins or Devontae Adams. So he's not as fast as either one of them, right? So how do you claim you're the number 1, right? And I love Michael Thomas, don't get me wrong, but Devontae Adams and D-Hop are in a different category.
They are.
It is what it is.
I agree. Well, we have our Super Bowl. Tampa and
in Tampa.
In Tampa. Another first for Tom Brady, 23 years in, which is nuts. So next week, we will go through the head coaching hires. We will go through each position. I mean, quarterback, receiver, offensive line, who has the advantage. Then I'll give I know you got a show a couple Sundays from now, so I'll give my winner. You might not give yours, but we'll break down everything with that. We'll talk Bill versus Brady, too, because I have a different perspective as the rest of the world, apparently, because everybody just wants to bash Bill, and I feel like it's very unwarranted. But,
I mean, it's just people have been waiting for him to suck for 20 years, so it's just fun to talk crap.
They better be ready for next year because I don't think it's going to be the same thing. But before we wrap it up, check out all the other shows on The Buzz.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute it's chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you all know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block, throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma lap you.
Dude, every time I play that video, I feel like 3 or 4 more shows get added on. It's crazy. But, yeah, good episode. Like I said, Alex will be joining me every week through NBA season, baseball, up until training camp probably.
Yeah.
So you're going to get NBA heavy here after next week, though. Next week's the Super Bowl. Like I said, Bill versus Brady. We'll break that down. That'll be an interesting debate because I'm sure we do not agree on that at all. We'll talk all the head coaching hires, buyers sell the hires, and we'll break down everything Super Bowl. Quarterback to kick returners because everything matters in the Super Bowl. You break a kick return, that's game-changing, unless you're Devin Hester. But all right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys on RSH Thursday with our Royal Rumble picks. Alex, you got anything else this week?
No, I think we're taking this week off, and we'll be
just like the teams do.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, we will see you next Tuesday. I will see you guys Thursday.